Hello YouTube, Jacob Wolf Demon here, and this is just going to be a follow-up to my recent video, about Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and just wanted to clear up some things, continue on, talk about the game, clear some stuff. Now, first and foremost, this is going to be a video response to Neo GameSpark's recent vlog, well, not necessarily a vlog, random video, about Marvel vs. Capcom 3, all that stuff. So, first of all, let me just start off by saying this. I am not bashing Neo GameSpark at all. I'm not. I respect the guy. I've been subscribed to him for almost a year now, and I respect the guy and what he does. But still, I just want to clear up some things, and I'm just voicing my own opinions, basically. Really, this is what I'm doing. This is what YouTube is. So even though people might not like my opinions and try and pass off as fact or whatever, this is what I'm gonna do. This is what I'm gonna do. So I'm just gonna pick apart some video, his video, and just give my opinion and thoughts on it. So, first of all, let me start off by saying that all this hate around, or stuff, this controversy around Capcom, releasing an update, enhanced version of Marvel vs. Capcom 3, let me just start off by saying that I am probably one of the hugest fighting game enthusiasts ever. I mean, look, come on. Tekken 5, Dark Resurrection PS4. Tekken 6, also have the PS3 version. BlazBlue Columbia Trigger Portable, got Continuum Shift 2 the other day. Capcom vs. SNK 2 on the GameCube, which I just picked up. Brawl, which some people some hardcore gamers don't even consider this a fighting game, which honestly pisses me off. I don't see where their twisted, fucked up logic is, but still. I even played Naruto games competitively. Street Fighter, which, Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3, the best DBZ game I have played ever. Tatsunoko vs. Capcom. So, you guys get, I'm a huge fighting game enthusiast, so without all that, let's just say that I'm actually at least have some idea of what the hell I'm talking about. So let's just go ahead and pick apart, let's just go on and get this out of the way.
I'm definitely going to pick that up. We'll download it again,
He's talking about Mortal Kombat 9 right now.
And then also, guys, I fucking called it. Knew ever since day one. February 21st, February 22nd, 2011, I called it. I told you this would happen. Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. So,
alright. This is Capcom. You guys should know how they operate by now. They run seriously, this is not something new. You guys know how Capcom is. You guys know they crank out enhanced versions. So, let's go on.
Essentially, the bottom line is, Capcom is finally releasing a finished product. After you guys spent $60 to buy a literally 40% done game, they're finally releasing the finished version, and you can't even get it through downloadable content.
He's right. I'll be brutally honest. As much as I defend Marvel vs. Capcom 3, day one, pre-ordered the game, and I got the fucking strategy guide for it, which, if you guys are if you guys are competitive in this stuff, this guide is was obsolete within 3 months of the game being released because of all the patches and stuff, fixing Sentinel's health, nerfing Sentinel's health. They reduced his health because so many people whined and complained about it, and just all these patches. So you guys know that there are probably tons of people like me who are actually competitive and competitive in this game and spent money on stuff like this. Case in point. I even went out and cranked out $150 for a fight stick, a PS3 fight stick. So, I really am hardcore into fighting games, but I will be brutally honest. After about a week of playing Marvel vs. Capcom 3, because I'm a college student too, so I had to balance doing competitive gaming and getting through school and all that. After about a week of playing Marvel vs. Capcom 3, I actually felt disgusted at spending $60 on a game that, honestly, Tatsunoko vs. Capcom on the Wii had more content, had more offline, had more content to do. And people, hardcore Capcom gamers despise this game. They don't think it's worth it because, first of all, this right here, it's on the Wii. Second of all, Tatsunoko. Nobody in America, or hardly anyone in America, knows who the hell Tatsunoko Productions is. So this is why this game is not very well received amongst the community. Even though this really is the most balanced versus game in, well, yeah, this is the most balanced versus game I've played. I mean, Marvel vs. Capcom 3 is balanced. I'm gonna go into that later, but I'm not disagreeing with him on that fact. I felt pissed that I spent $60 on a near incomplete game. I mean, to be brutally honest, I felt this way about Naruto too, because honestly, if you guys have played this game before, you know how bad the online is. Same thing with Brawl. I mean, really, Brawl. Terrible, worst online I've played in the game, but still, I'm not denying that that game was unfinished. I'm not denying it at all.
It's funny that so many of you Marvel vs. Capcom 3 fanboys are going to sit, bend over, and take up the ass by Capcom. It astounds me that you guys think that this is okay for them to do. You're letting them rape your wallets. First off, paying $6 for an unfinished game. I don't want to say, oh, they paid 40 and they paid 45. No. At the end of the day, it's still an unfinished product.
Right. We paid $60 for an unfinished product. So, yeah. Continuing on.
Second, overpricing the DLC for the characters that are already on the game. Third,
DLC characters. I will admit that, Jill and Shuma Garath, the 2 extra DLC characters, which, to be honest, by the time this guide came out, they already had movesets for Jill. They already had movesets for Jill and Shuma Garath. Those characters were already on the disc. But to counter that, Arc System Works, on the console versions of BlazBlue, Continuum Shift, they charge $8 per character. Continuum Shift 2, I mean, you've got, let me see, you've got Platinum and Trinity, you've got Makoto Nanaya, the Squirrel Girl, and Valkenheim. ArcSys charges $8 a piece for those characters. Marvel charges $5 for 2 characters, Jill and Shuma Garath, plus you've got the costume packs, and the dreaded, shadow battles and events, which most of the hardcore fighting people who actually enjoy that game, they really don't like shadow battles at all. But and I'm gonna go on all that later, but let's just continue.
No spectator mode, which is a vital factor in a fighting game. It wasn't in there at launch. They say it's coming as DLC. Oh, we're not doing this DLC.
Right, no spectator mode. That was another thing I was pissed off about, because Super Street Fighter 4 had it. This game, and again, yeah, got the guy for Super Street Fighter 4 too, and the CD 2, the CD Dual Disc, and still. Super Street Fighter 4 had spectator mode. Honestly, that baffled me as to why Capcom did not put in a spectator mode for a game like this. And Ryoto Natsuma, I believe, if it was Natsuma, it was. I know Ryoto Natsuma was the producer of MvC3, but I can't remember if this quote was from him or not. The quote the excuses that he gave was that the game was already laggy enough, and that's debatable. I will say that I've seen many cases of people saying that the online in MvC3 was extremely laggy, but I played in a wired connection, and I rarely had any problems with it. But he said that the online gameplay was already so laggy enough that adding spectator mode would lag the game even more. Now, personally, I call bullshit on that. Seriously, I call bullshit on that. Capcom gave so many excuses about this game that it wasn't even funny. Natsuma said that they weren't going to have 3 Darkstalker. They weren't going to have another Darkstalker, female Darkstalker. Morgan, Ainsley, and Felicia are basically mainstays of MvC. But we get Hisenko after he basically said that we weren't going to get any more female characters. Well, I won't say basically said, but I got people telling me that there have been, I don't know, articles saying that we weren't going to get another female Darkstalkers, and there's so many other lies and like he said, we were supposed to get extra DLC. The DLC that we got from Marvel vs. Capcom 3, we got Shuma Garath and Jill Valentine. We got 1 costume pack for 5 characters: Ryu, Captain America, Dante, and there were 2. I know I can remember those 3 off the top of my head. I mean, we had a 1960s. I'm pretty sure it was 1960s Captain America. We had a Street Fighter 1 Ryu costume and Dante's Devil May Cry 1 Sparta costume. So that, and the dreaded shadow battles and all that stuff, which, to be honestly, no one really, like I said, none of the hardcore people really care about that thing, but to me, it gave me something to do. So, yeah, overpriced DLC, slightly overpriced DLC, but at least it's not as bad as BlazBlue, as ArcSys Works. But the argument that I've heard people give for this is that ArcSys Works characters are pretty damn unique. I mean, look, None of the characters in BlazBlue play exactly the same, and if you actually spent 10 minutes into the game, you would know that. So, moving on with this video.
And you guys, for some reason, with all the other bullshit Capcom has done this generation, in some cases more so than Activision and EA, you know there's a problem.
Yes, I will say that. Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 was announced not even a year apart from vanilla Marvel vs. Capcom 3. At least with Super Street Fighter 4, we had a year apart. I mean, sure, Capcom announced it at, I think it was E3 last year, or whenever it was, 2009, they announced it at E3 2009, 2010, whenever it was that we were getting the Super, and people were pissed off about that too. But, so I can kind of understand why people are pissed about, you know, the game is barely even out for a year and we're already getting an enhanced version. I can see that, believe me, I can see that.
You know. And it's funny, you guys just accept all the bullshit from these fighting games. I mean, we're in an age where downloadable content can be used good. They don't have to re-release the game 30 times over.
True. But the difference between back in the day with Street Fighter 2 and Super Street Fighter 4 was how much DLC was in this. If you actually look into, you know, Super Street Fighter 4, there were about, what? Correct me if I'm wrong, there were upwards around 20-something, 23 characters in the original Street Fighter 4. Fighter 4 adds, we get a total of lower 20s to 35. Plus, we had spectator mode, we had all these changes to online mode, we had, you know, not events, we had replays, we had spectator mode, we had endless battles, which is just go in the lobby and just fight people whenever you want. So, the difference between that is that with this, we actually got more bang for our buck, and I'm pretty sure the DLC argument can be nullified because think about it. The DLC, I'm pretty sure this would have taken out DLC if this was released as straight DLC. This game, it would have taken up a lot more gig of memory than it would have. So I actually think it was a pretty smart idea to release this as $40, and that's what they're doing with Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. They're releasing it as $40, and if you actually sit down and look and see what's in it, or what's supposedly going to be in it, we already know that we're getting 12 new characters. We're getting Strider, we're getting Frank West, and all those lead guys. Strider, Ghost Rider. You guys know the deal. We're getting 12 new characters. We're getting 8 new stages. We're getting spectator mode finally. We're getting all these new changes to it. Now, here's the thing. Would you guys rather have to pay, I don't know, another $60 for all the DLC characters? Because think about it, Capcom charges $5 for their DLC characters, a piece. You got 12 DLC characters. 8 stages, they could charge like $3 for those. Plus all the extra new game modes. Would you guys rather be paying another $60 tacked on to another $60 game that you already got, as opposed to paying $60 for a beta version? Because honestly, that's how I see it, and that's how most of the people see it. Would you guys rather pay $60 for a beta version and then pay $40 for a complete version, when compared to buying a beta version plus another $60, $70 worth of DLC? Really. But this is basically just the gaming industry as a whole is just probably the most fucked up out of all the industries. Out of the movie industry, it's probably the worst out of all of them.
Fair enough, last generation they couldn't do DLC well, as they could now, but this is a new age of fighters, that we shouldn't have to pay $40 for to get the complete version of the game.
Again, this is an industry thing. I'm not denying, again, not defending Capcom one bit when it comes to them milking and rehashing. I mean, but like I said earlier, you got more bang for your buck with Super Street Fighter 4. From the sounds of it, we're getting more of it from Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, because releasing all of that new stuff for DLC, think about it, you'd be paying at least $7 more if you wanted everything. And like I said, you can pick and choose, but still, there are completionists out there like me that, even though as much as it stung me to buy 8 characters, I don't know this is the PSP version, but I had the PS3 version of BlazBlue Continued Shift 1, as much as it stung me to spend that ArcSys charged $8 for 2 to 3 DLC characters, got a job and bought it. So again, this is another thing of the video game industry as a whole being fucked up.